been sitting here for a few minutes trying to figure out how to start this without making it sound like I already know what I'm talking about, because I don't. So I guess I'll just start saying the thing that I was thinking. Lately, I've been wondering if I'm actually behind in life, or if I just feel behind because I keep comparing my timeline with everybody else's. What messes with me is I can't tell the difference anymore. I think everybody has that moment, usually at night, like when we're scrolling or just sitting there, and it hits you like everyone else is moving and I'm here. And it's not even like being here or there is bad. It's just not where you thought you would be, right? I remember being younger and having very clear ideas of, by this age I'd have this job and I'd have this amount of money, and above all I'd have this amount of certainty. Not happiness, a certainty. Like I'd wake up and go, this makes sense, this is my life, you know what I mean? But what's weird is, on paper things aren't bad, and that's the part that makes it hard to talk about, right? Because you don't want to seem ungrateful, you don't want to sound dramatic or sound like you're just somebody who's always complaining, you know, because there is people who do have it much, much worse than we do, even when we are faced with troubling circumstances. So we minimize it. We minimize our issues. We minimize our feelings. Like, oh yeah, I'm good. You know, I can't complain, or it'll all work itself out. You know, I'm sure we've all said those things before. But it'll work itself out begins to feel like something you say when you don't actually know how things are supposed to go and how they're supposed to work out. It's like, I think social media completely broke our sense of timing. Like, now you just don't see success, you see it early. Like, you see young cats, people younger than you, doing things you are going to be doing later in life. You see yourself doing later. And nobody was really posting the in between, you know what I mean? The confusion, the second guessing, the days where they wonder if they missed their moment or if the opportunity door closed on them. So we just automatically assume people don't have those days. But logically, it can't be true, right? There's no way. I'll catch myself thinking things like, I should be further by now, or I should have had this figured out already, and I shouldn't be asking these same questions. And then I stop and think, like, who decided that timeline? Because I don't remember signing any contract. You know what I'm saying? I think part of the pressure comes from this mindset, and this word often we hear over and over is optimize. Optimize your income, optimize your time, optimize your 20s, optimize your life. You know what I'm saying? This is it's like we can't move fast enough, otherwise you're wasting somebody's time. Or even worse, you're wasting talent, or you're wasting the opportunity. Like, I think honestly there's like a little bit of like a lie baked into that idea, because it's automatically assuming that slower means worse. But some of the most interesting people in life, in our culture, they didn't just get there on a straight shot. They weren't, childhood stars. They didn't hit it till later. They zigged, they zagged, they stalled, they paused. Like they had to climb mountains just to get to where they are. And when they finally did get to where they were going, it wasn't because they were rushed. It was because they paid attention. They paid attention to the details. They paid attention to the little things. What it took along the way, the growth that happens along the way that nobody posts, that we don't really see, that you're taking mental accountability of each and every time something happens. You jot it down in the back of your mind. So as you're moving forward in that field, in that space, you've encountered trials that you've overcome and know how to triumph from. But we kind of need to always remember to take those mental notes, because you won't see that. Nobody's really going to point that out in our own lives. You know what I'm saying? All we see in our life is the distance between where we are and the imaginary life that we want to live, our goals, our dreams, our vision board. That's all we see. All we see is the distance, and the we don't see like how close we could be getting to these things. We're always focused on how far away we are, and that's when we get stuck in these negative thought patterns. Another thing I've been realizing, a lot of people that I've come to compare myself to, we're not even playing the same game. Like, we have different values, we have different goals, we have different definitions of success itself. But because we're the same age, I end up in this competition mindset, right? And treat it like a race. I mean, I've always been competitive, but that's not necessarily always the best way for us mentally to approach things, especially when it comes to comparison. Because that's like comparing you and you running a marathon, right? We're running, and then my boy comes up and he's on a bike. My boy on a bike, he pedal right past you, right? But you like, I can't keep, like, you're running a different race. You can't be mad because that person's on a bike. You know what I'm saying? He's on a bike and you're in a marathon. It's two different games you're playing. Don't get caught in that comparison when you're not even in the same realm. You're not in the same, it's different. I also feel like when you say that you're behind, or like being behind implies that there is a right way to life and a proper structure, when that is not the case. That's saying like school, job, promotion, peace. Like that's saying it's on the path and now you're behind because that timeline is set. Boom, you go to school, now you should have your career, now you should have this promotion, and then you should have your peace with life, peace with all of everything else. But that's just not how it goes. That's not the way, that's just not the way it goes, unfortunately. Real life loops, it doubles back, it pauses, it forces you to sit with questions longer than you want to sometimes. And honestly, that might not be failure. That might just be formation. There's this uncomfortable moment, maybe you felt it too, when you realize you're not early anymore. Like, there was a point in my life when I was early. I was ahead of time, some would say. But now I'm figuring it out. It feels less like exploration, and it's more like responsibility, because you move past this, like the first baby steps, right? Like, oh, that's cute. Like, if they're walking, oh, and they fall, oh, that's cute. You know what I'm saying? You move past that just getting started phase, and then you're in it. And that's when it starts to get a little bit scary because your decisions now are heavier. They have weight, they have implication. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe that is the moment when our life become ours. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think the real question is, am I behind? I think the real question is, behind what? Behind someone else's expectations? Behind a version of myself I imagined when I was younger? Behind a timeline that made sense before I actually knew myself? If I'm honest with myself, the times I usually feel the most behind is usually also the time when I'm growing the most, because that's when I'm most uncomfortable. But growth is uncomfortable. It's quiet and it doesn't come with receipts. You don't get applause for thinking things through. You don't get a postable moment for uncertainty. But that doesn't mean nothing's happening. Honestly, I don't have a clean answer to this question yet. I still have days where I feel anxious for no clear reason. I still compare myself to others in the same age bracket, in the same kind of lane as me. I still wonder if I waited too long or moved too slow. But I'm starting to believe being behind isn't about time. It's about honesty. And if you're being honest about what you want and what you don't want, and what you're still learning, you might not be behind at all, honestly. You might just be early in a life that's actually just right and fits you perfectly. Honestly, I don't know if that fully answers the question, but that's where I'm at today. Let me think.